Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to try real quick to paste this in YouTube to ensure that we are live and up and running. And I hope all of you are doing well out there this evening because this is an alcoholic versus an addict. I have Steve coming on the channel here in just a little bit, and we are going to be doing the daggone thing. And as I sign into these users for YouTube and all that good stuff, then yeah, we'll get this started for you. I chimed in a little bit early, so that way I can get everything set up for you. Now, you might see a small delay here and there, but it's really not all that bad. If you are trying to see this on the other tab that I have for, hey buddy, how you doing?
Hello.
Hey, you doing all right, man?
Yeah, how about you?
I'm all right. How you doing today?
Good. Yeah, it's is it Sunday there too? Yeah, I guess it's just nighttime.
Yeah, it's Sunday evening here. It is 1800, of course. After this, I get the fine privilege of going to pick up my son, which is 35
Yeah.
minutes away, but that's cool.
Yeah. Let's see you pick him up from where? From
Oh,
his
he's at his girlfriend's house today.
Oh, okay. So you gotta
Hi.
do all the driving with the chauffeur.
It's all right though.
Yeah.
I hope all of this is not showing up on this recording feed, but if it is, I'll just edit it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever.
But it's kind of like every time I try to do this, something happens, but that's all right.
Yeah. I always see it on YouTube whenever anyone does Zoom meetings and stuff. It's always something.
The bandwidth is like so minimal where I'm at. I'm in a village that they laugh at you when you ask for extra uh data.
Oh, really?
So
So you're in like a
it's
small, how big is your village? Like how many people?
I would say it's probably 400.
Oh, really? That small? Wow.
And it's in a valley that gets no, it has zero fiber optics laid and everything else. So it's all
Oh,
good.
wow. Even in our city, like here, we're just starting to lay fiber optic now. So
Well,
in Canada, yeah,
we will get there, but I don't know. It's cool.
yeah,
So, so actually, I'm very happy to see you in person. We do a lot of chatting back and forth, and I think that's really cool that, you're willing to come on here and hang out with me. And then next, I'm certain there's a whole lot of folks right now that really need to know that they're not doing all this by themselves. And for you to be where you're at after some of the things I saw in your videos, I think um, it provides a lot of optimism for someone who might think that shit, I might as well just, bang another one and be done with it. So I think
yeah.
that's pretty
That's
cool,
yeah,
man.
yeah. That's what a lot of people always think. I guess once you've tried heroin or fentanyl, there's no ever going back. I guess that's kind of what they teach a lot.
Oh yeah, they spit that out instantly that
Yeah,
one you take your first dose and then it's off to the races and then you die. That's pretty
yeah.
much
Just
what we know about it.
like they've been saying about acid for years. If you've done it 7 times, you're legally insane.
Oh yeah,
So,
your brain will lock up and turn to mush and
yeah.
everything. I can
And now
attest that.
they're using it for depression.
Yeah, absolutely. Among a lot of other things that they say are taboo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so
So
crazy.
I actually have my tablet here because I normally cheat for the chat,
Yeah.
but that's okay. We don't need that today.
Yeah, no chat today.
I know my viewers are gonna be like, unsubscribe, 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 but that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, hey, look, man, I'm 45 years old. I live in Germany with my wife and son. I
Mhm.
retired out of the US Army. I drank for 23 years and I've been sober for 6 in February.
Oh wow, congrats.
That is my short introduction. But there's a lot of ways we get there, and which is why I actually wanted to do kind of a back and forth because that the outcome is the same. We want to be sober and we want to be, learn to be happy and be with our families and everything else like normal
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah. Okay.
So for me, and it all starts with origin, I think, and because origin plays a big part in a lot of behavioral problems, I think. And for some folks, they come out of, perfectly happy homes, but you never know what's going on the other side of the curtain that produces like the way people actually go through their lives. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
mine started out actually pretty good. I was living a very like a, a really large home in where was it? Fort Washington, Maryland. And I was living with my mother and my father, and everything seemed normal up until about like 6 years old, maybe a little bit earlier, but I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But they started getting in a lot of fights and everything else. And long story short, turns out he was an alcoholic and he was an abusive alcoholic, and she was a victim of domestic violence and everything else. So I was one of five kids, and I have a twin brother, two sisters, and a little brother. And
Wow.
I'm right
Lots
in
of.
the middle. So I became like just kind of a thing in the background, and really didn't get picked on too much, really didn't get acknowledged too much. And I think that's where a lot of, my insecurities come into play. And that's where I used alcohol to kind of dull that a little bit.
Mhm.
For me, coming where I'm coming from, that seemingly happy home turned into now where my mother and father got divorced, where the violence got more, we're living from place to place, there was no more money, all that other stuff. Well, that turned into, getting ignored more and all this madness. But I was pretty good in high school still. My grades were always top notch, and I never had an issue with blending in with the popular crowd and with the nerds or whatever you want to call them and everything else. I kind of
Yeah.
kind of was in the middle of all those people.
Yeah.
So even then, I felt like I didn't belong there because I was never fully popular and I was never fully accepted by the nerds.
Yeah. Kind of like a
Eh,
chameleon type.
Exactly. I was a walking shadow, and you know,
Yeah.
I I felt I needed a little attention. So what better way to get that attention than to start drinking like my good old pop.
Yeah.
Now it took me a long time to get over. There's a whole backstory to that, but that's a later video because that'll take all this time. Um,
Yeah.
so I figured if he loved that so much, I might as well do it too because it's got to be that damn good that you would choose that over your wife and your kids and everything else. So
Yeah.
in high school it started, and I could have graduated, but it like towards my senior year, I decided to drop out and go chase some girl up to Baltimore and everything else. And that just turned out to me stranding myself and living in the woods for a year. And when I was living in the woods, I was like, screw it. I might as well, you know, join the army and try that out because if I can survive living in the woods, I can survive living there too.
Yeah. Exactly.
But that's where my alcoholism took off and it skyrocketed. And, I didn't even realize I was an alcoholic until it was way too freaking late.
Hmm.
And, the culture of the army just, you know, accelerated my drinking. And, you know, I started missing things and I started partying too much and everything else. And before I know it, I mean, that was the only thing I wanted was to get drunk. There's a whole lot more to that, but uh, I ended up getting sober after a couple run in with authorities and a couple run in with, my chains of command and everything else. And I had to go to rehab. I also almost lost my career because, I was choosing to drink instead of doing what I was supposed to do. And I was caught up by a counselor who saw that I had a weird number in a carbohydrate deficiency test. And I didn't know that was a thing, man. I really didn't. I didn't know that, they could tell that you've been drinking for so long a period by looking at your blood and whatever this CBT thing was.
Yeah, I never knew that either.
Yeah, so I tried to lie my way through it, and the counselor was like, "Look, I'm gonna give you one more chance." And sure enough, a lot of stuff, like I said, happened in between all that time. But the
Yeah.
short version of it is I decided to choose my family over the alcohol, but I didn't do that without any help. I myself, I went to AA, and um, I, I worked the program and I worked the steps, and I built my life around, well, this part of my life around what is my priority, what is important to me other than alcohol, and
Mhm.
that's how I facilitate almost everything that I do. Is what would a drink do to make this better? And if the answer is always the same, then I'm not going to have that drink. And to put it in perspective, at at the end of my drinking career, so to speak, I was
Mhm.
drinking about 18 to 20-ish, maybe a little more beers a night. And they were,
Oh,
yeah, they were 22-ounce beers. So,
oh wow. So that's like double then, I guess. Yeah,
and then I
almost.
was going to work
Wow.
and I was a
And you
soldier.
probably just didn't even feel hungover anymore. Eh? You're just always drunk, I guess. Eh?
Always, exactly. I was always drunk, so drunk that I thought that I didn't have hangovers and I wasn't, a freaking hot mess. But there I was.
I
And
remember saying that a lot. Yeah, when I'd be in like a drinking binge, I'd be like, I never even get hungover anymore. I'm so amazing. Like,
I'm amazing.
it's like, no, you just wake up and then start drinking.
Yeah,
So
there's
that's what
something wrong with that, right?
yeah.
And when I wake up, I start immediately thinking about how I'm going to get drunk again. So, yeah, that's a fucking problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so that's me, and I live here now with my wife and son. I retired out of the army, thankfully, and I have
Hmm.
them, thankfully, um,
So how long have you been with your wife then? It's
since
been
December 2002.
okay.
Yeah,
So it's been a long
she
time.
left for a year because of all the shit with the alcoholism and everything else.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful I got her back, and instead of just living among them, I live with them. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I know what you mean there.
Yeah, that might make sense for you. And I think
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of folks don't capture that.
When you're just around them watching TV, you're never really in conversation with them. It's just like, yeah, you're just there like a puppet or
Exactly.
something. Yeah. Yeah.
So I just wanted to tell you about myself, and if anyone is new on the channel, coming to one server to another, I just want to fill you in on you know, my background. And Steve from Steve Has Been There. Check out his channel. He's gonna tell you about himself now, and maybe you'll get something from us, and hopefully it'll help you in your journey to sobriety. So, Steve.
Right. Yeah. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, it's the short version of it, I'm sure, because we can go for a long time telling our past. But yeah, so mine, I kind of came from, I guess, that like the good family type. Like my dad was a doctor, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. Like uh, we went on vacation every summer, like one of those types of families. And I know, like you say, like if it looks good on the outside, sometimes there's like stuff behind closed doors. But for my family, there really wasn't like anything hidden or anything like that. It was just me not really being honest with anyone and telling my family what I was going through, I guess. And then when, like back then, we didn't really see like kids with anxiety. Like we didn't think kids got anxiety. Like today, it's kind of more talked about our mental health and stuff. And we just thought it was headaches. Like I just got headaches all the time. So like even at the age of 11 and 12, I was getting headaches, like going to school, going to like baseball games, like anything that I had to perform, I guess. I was always very anxious about, like sweaty, like anything, yeah, like talking in front of the class or So at a very young age, I hated being in my own skin, I guess you could say. So it started with cigarettes was the first thing, I guess. Like I just always wanted cigarette. I always had to have cigarettes in my pocket. You know, it was always, if I didn't, I felt like something was missing. And I didn't realize it back then, but that was like the very first thing like that I picked up. I always said like alcohol in the past, but that was definitely my first like,
Mm.
because you got a buzz when you first started, right? Like it kind of made you feel like everything was sped up or something. Like, yeah. So that was the first thing. And then once I found drinking, it was like at even 11 and 12, every weekend was drinking at a friend's place. And it was all around alcohol, like what we did even at that young age. And this was in a small town of only 2,500 people. So there wasn't that much to do. So that's kind of what teenagers did. And that's what I guess the adults, it was normal, I guess, for kids to be doing that there. So no one really saw that as that bad, I guess. And then um, I guess, when was that? I guess at 12 was the first time I like tried to buy marijuana. And one of my friends ended up telling on me when I bought it in the bathroom. And then that's how my mom found out. That was the very first time I ever bought it. I had never gotten high yet, had never tried it. And I already had gotten caught. And I believe like that was God trying to save me, like back then, like, don't do this, it's going to be a bad road. And it did for like 2 years after that. I didn't want to touch it because I saw like how much it affected my mom, like when she came into the school bawling and stuff. And yeah, I guess I saw how like it affected her. So I didn't touch any drugs or anything until later on. So then we ended up moving from that small town to a city of 70,000, and like my school was the same size as the town. So you can see how I got lost like in that high school again.
Mm.
And so that brought about my anxiety really bad. Like I had an ulcer at the age of 17, like just from how anxious I always was. So like at that school, and then once I found like the guys that did drugs at school, that's where I felt accepted, because I was kind of always in like honor classes. Like I always did really well in school. And with all those kids, I never felt like accepted, I guess. I just kind of always felt like out of place no matter where I was, kind of like you said too.
Mm.
So, but with the druggies outside, I felt so comfortable, I guess. It just felt like they were like me, like everyone liked each other, and it just felt like more of a family. So that's where I always was. So I ended up skipping school all the time, and then ended up stealing like everything from my parents, from like my sister's college fund, and like it went downhill very fast because once I had filled that hole with drugs, I kept needing to fill it more and more and more, and nothing was working. So I just kept wanting to do more and more drugs. And so that ended up with me needing money all the time, you know, and so I was stealing all the time. I was working at Taco Time when I was, how old is I, 13, 14? And I guess it's been way over like 10 years, so I can say the place, but I don't know how long it's been, but yeah, so I was stealing from everywhere. And then I knew I needed help, like even at the young age of 18. Like I knew something was wrong because all my friends, like they were using drugs too, but they were able to just go back home and then go to school in the morning and like just kind of live normally while doing it. And me, like I would go back home and I would need to use more by myself, or like in the morning I would need to use before school, like, or I just wouldn't go to school. And then I was confused at why I was so much different. And so my parents had said, do you want to go to rehab? Even at the age of 18, like they knew I was already that bad. And so I went to my first rehab, and then that started the 15 years of in and out of rehabs, and never really, I guess, figuring out, because we never, yeah, like every rehab I went to, we never really figured out why I used drugs in the first, like we never
Mm.
put it to my anxiety, I guess, and just that I never liked being in my own skin. It was more just that I was an addict, you know. It never was more about like drugs just being a symptom of something else. It was always just about the drugs whenever I would go to rehabs. And then, but the last one I went to, we finally figured out like like the root reason on why I was using and everything, and it finally like clicked. And I was finally sick and like just sick and tired of that life. Like, and I've skipped through a lot too, but there was like, yeah, 15 years of heroin addiction, fentanyl addiction, living homeless in a place called like Hastings. It's like one of the worst homeless places in Canada, in Vancouver. Like just in and out of Salvation Armies, they're called, like uh, living with friends on their couches, just using everyone around me, never ever being like what I was intended to be. And I always had like a heart in that life, so it was hard. Like when I was dealing or doing different things, I always felt bad. Like I always felt like this is not what I should be doing. So it was always like a double like edged sword, I guess, like a double life. Like it never felt right. And again, I never felt like in place, like during high school, like when I wanted to fit in. Like at first it feels comforting, you know, the drugs and the people involved with it all feels good, but that only lasts a short time, and then you're just trying to fill that hole, and it never ever gets full, like that void, until either you die or you figure out that you're just finally sick and tired and you start filling it with the right things. So like that last rehab I went to, and I finally just figured out a lot of root issues and stuff. And then when we came back, I actually ended up coming back to the same city, like where all this happened, and which is not like a great thing to do, right? Like we always say, if you can like get away in the first couple of years, it's great to not be in that same city, right? But so I ended up coming back here, and then it's like I did a full circle. I moved back in with my parents, and it was finally like we had a good relationship, and it was like full circle. It was like coming back from when I lived here in high school. It was like God gave me a second chance to do it. And then I was going to like counseling 3 times a week. I was going to meetings like NA and AA at the Nooners and stuff. And I was doing all that. So like 5 times a week, I was doing something. Just, or even on Saturdays, it was just Sundays I took off. But so I dove into it hard, because I realized like we put our all into drugs and booze. And so you got to put your all in recovery, especially like in the first like 3 years. It's really important. So yeah, I dove into it this time, and that's what the hard work finally helped me get to a place where I feel like at peace and content without using drugs. So yeah, so I guess that's part of my story. Yeah, it's a little bit.
That's awesome, man. I like the way that you speak. I don't know, it's even though you were, you know, uncomfortable with yourself, and you might even be now, but
Yeah, I'm nervous now even, yeah.
you speak very clearly and with a lot of candor, and I think that's admirable. And I don't know if that's in part to being sober or whatever, but I can relate to not being comfortable in your own skin. I mean, I get nervous every time that I'm going to do one of these. And
Yeah, I was super nervous for this.
yeah, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact, I still get like the pounding chest and everything else. And I'm like, fuck, I know what used to fix this, and I can't have that anymore. So I just got to push through and hope for the
Yeah,
best. And
yeah.
I don't know, I carry a lot of self-doubt, and that comes from like all the childhood bullshit. But um where the drinking came into play, like you said, is, you know, I used to stand in front of the class, and as a matter of fact, at like promotion boards and whatnot in the army, and I'd be sweating mad bullets, and my face would be
Yeah.
stupid red. I couldn't formulate any answers, and it just felt like everybody was staring at me and like judging every single thing I did. And I even feel like that now, because I live in Germany and I don't know German. So every time I go to
Oh yeah,
my
that's got to be hard.
yeah, every time I go to like a restaurant or to um, one of my wife's family's houses or something like that, everybody's speaking, and my natural
Mhm.
assumption is that they're talking about me. And that was one of the
Yeah,
catalysts
that's what I
to
would be like.
yeah, that was one of the catalysts to my drinking. And that's where I can relate to what you said about that is, you know, if you're not comfortable in your own skin, you you gotta you gotta do something. You gotta do something to be able to get up and you got to go through your day. So
Yeah.
either, we can rely on our old habits, the drugs and the alcohol and everything else, or we have to find something else to fill the void. And I like the way you
Yeah.
said that, because I actually heard a woman today on Twitter, and maybe like 6 or 7 comments was the darkness, the void, the darkness, the void, the void, the void, the void, and that word stuck in my head. So I think it's important that people know your story, because I'm gonna imagine that she's an addict, because that's the only thing I can think of with that is, you know,
Like that
eh,
dark void. Yeah.
not to say that, shit, I had a dark void so bad that, I tried to kill myself like 3 times. And I was so dumb that I couldn't succeed in that. So I had to drink more. And look where that got me. So,
Oh yeah, alcohol I would say is just as bad as any drug for sure. And then coming off of alcohol is so bad too. So it's just we don't see it as bad in society just because it's legalized, I guess, right?
mhm. So what do you do now, like on a day-to-day basis to maintain? I mean, uh, you used for quite a long time, and, to be maybe not so much free of that right now, but to be sober, what do you do on a normal basis to stay sober?
Yeah, so for like right when I get up, usually it's either make the bed or do something that's like just something to get like a goal done or whatever. Like I find if you got your bed made first thing in the morning, it feels a lot better like the rest of the day. I don't know why. It's just like that first step, like just like I'm going to choose today to be positive and work, because a lot of times I would just leave everything a mess. So that's, I kind of like, yeah. And then I'll write 5 things I'm grateful for and then kind of like set up my goals for the day. And because if I don't do that, I don't do anything during the day because naturally I'm just a lazy person, I guess. So, and if I write it down, it's like it comes in my head like you wrote it down. You got to at least try to do it because you wrote it down. So like that's usually what I start with. And then like right now I'm not working and I'm just watching my kid full time. So it's just I'm always busy doing something with him. So that feels like a full-time job and that's like a good purpose right there watching him. And then I either like right now because of COVID and everything we can't really do like what we normally do, but like I'll do something on Reddit or I'll like watch something on YouTube at night like something to do with recovery or like, just helping people. Yeah, like I find talking to people a lot of time during the day, just helping other people helps me a lot too. Like, and it helps keep my mind focused that like you're an addict still, you could be that person that you're helping in like a day, like just one day of bad decisions. I could be that person that I'm helping, So like I really keep that in the front of my mind, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's I do something similar. I work out religiously.
Yeah,
Um,
that's something I forgot too. Yeah.
yeah, I do that every single morning, exception of like tomorrow, because I got to take a break to recover. But
Hmm.
I do that because I would never do that on my own, drinking. So
Yeah.
well, drunk. And I also try to do something new, um, at least once a month that I've never done before, like pick a place on the map, just go there and try to experience that with my son, because I truly wrecked my wife and son with my alcoholism. And
Hmm.
I think that the best way for me to make um, that amends is to actually just do it daily versus
Yeah.
she heard sorry enough that it just doesn't exist anymore. So
Hmm.
just a little thing. I've been getting lazy at it lately by like trying to, help her around the house and stuff. Like I've been getting lazy. So I'm gonna try to get back on that. But
Yeah,
I,
I hear you.
I mean, there's so much wreckage that I think a lot of us focus on, but that's already done. And that's how I have to see that, is that, yeah, it's shitty. It's done though. So
Hmm.
what can I do today to make like you said, someone else's life a little bit better? And for me,
Yeah.
that works. And I try to reach out to people on social media all the time, just to do what I can. And I just think now my life is a lot more fulfilling than it ever was drinking. So,
Oh yeah.
I don't have an urge to go back there, but if you're an alcoholic or an addict, that that chance exists. And that's the reason why I try to maximize each day as it comes along.
Yeah. Yeah, because if something really bad happens, it's like we got to be strong enough. Like if someone dies or something, like yeah,
Yeah.
because that can really offset everything if we're not like doing our due diligence every day. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So
So I've never.
what would you tell somebody who, because I know a person right now who had 5 years of sobriety, and then something as simple as and Tim, if you're listening, man, this is not a hit at you. This is just to put it out there to see what else someone else thinks.
Yeah, I've done it
Um,
lots too. So
so 5 years, and then a job opportunity didn't call back quick enough for him. Matter of fact, I'm not going to put that business out there of all the details, but I'll say that
yeah,
he ended up drinking, and not just a little bit. And I feel for him because he's truly committed. And just I I told him, fucking life happens. So
yeah,
sometimes you just have to accept the fact that yes, you're human, and you're not a daggone sober robot, and not everything is going to be great, and you will have vulnerable moments. What would you say to somebody going through that?
I would say that I know the first thing that I would always think of is, damn, I lost all that clean time, that 5 years. That was always what would stick in my head. So what's the point now, like starting over? But like the whole point of this is that it's day by day. So like each one of us, we're just clean or sober for today. So
Mhm.
like he's at the exact same point as us. Like I could go pick up and use at any time. So it's all about just getting back out there and getting back on the horse. Cause like I did that so many times, like before I finally figured it out. So I would say to not be so hard on yourself. And you made 5 years. That's like a miracle right there. Like and maybe like something that happened this time, it's going to be a story that you're going to tell, that you're going to help save someone else because of that relapse you had. Like maybe he's going to use that relapse to help someone else. So
My cat just popped in, so I had to laugh.
yeah,
uh, you know what? I agree 100% that, and you can ruminate over failure as much as you want to, but it's not going to help you in any way to
no,
not have that duplicated behavior. Because for 23 years I had the same answer to everything. So
yeah,
it's not going to be a magic eraser that takes it all away. It takes work. And
yeah, yeah.
you know that's just that's how I see it. I don't know.
Yeah, like it took us how long to become like an alcoholic or an addict, right? So it doesn't just leave like that quick. And if they had a machine that wiped our brains, maybe soon they will, but who knows nowadays?
Hey, they tried it in the past. I don't know how far that got us in humanity, but you
Oh
know
yeah, I guess in the past we would have been hooked up to some weird machines, and like if we were an
or
addict or an alcoholic, that's where we
or
would have been.
lobotomized and you know sent to the church for exorcism and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess we're lucky in that regard.
we're we're modern fuck ups.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was actually going to be my next video, is like that relapse is a part of recovery, and that relapse usually happens way before you actually pick up the substance is what I find. Like
Absolutely, because your brain starts thinking of it. You
yeah,
know,
like you'll know, yeah, you kind of like feel it in your like heart and spirit too. It's like I think I'm kind of headed down a wrong path here, but it's kind of, if you're too far, it's kind of like you tell yourself, I would always tell myself, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And then right when I'd be calling my dealer or something, I would be telling myself, it's just this once. It is going to happen, but now it's just this once, just this one more time. Or like, yeah,
I I used to tell addicts because I know quite a few. I would tell them first thing, especially if they ask me for advice, I'd be like, "Do you still have your dealer's phone number?" And like 10 out of 10 would say yes. And so I would be like, "Well, that's the number one thing you got to do, man. You got to get rid of that phone number."
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Well,
so true.
eventually, I will.
Yeah, or it's like, but what if I want to help him, or I'm gonna call him and tell him how awesome it is being clean? Like that's what I would tell myself when I would keep all the numbers in my phone. Yeah, but no, doesn't work like that really.
So, uh, you know that the floor is like really yours if you want to like talk about your channel or whatever you want to do. Um, just bullshit for like, let's see, we got 15 more minutes if you want to share
Okay. Yeah,
anything.
I just started my YouTube channel just like I don't know, I think it's been a couple weeks. And it's because like I didn't get that electrician job I was supposed to take and stuff. And then it's really felt like God has kind of led me for this to be my purpose, like to talk on YouTube or like Reddit or and it really has like a lot of doors have been opening and stuff like very quickly. So it really feels like something's going on. I don't know. I know it's I don't like see it like as me being like this is going to be like my main like way to make money and stuff like that. But I really just want to do like what you're doing, just help people, just make videos. And yeah, that, like my channel is Steve Has Been There, and I named it that because I want to have been there, but I don't want anyone else to like go down that path that I had to go down. I want to be like the reason that you don't have to go down, like do that whole trial and error thing, because it's just going to end the same way that it has for every one of us. It sucks that a lot of us have to learn hands-on and we have to learn it ourselves. But at least if even one person like gets a second thought to not pick up something, or as long as we're at least getting in people's minds and that seed has been planted so they know what to do when they want to get clean, or that's what I would love to do. It's just like, hey, I remember that guy on YouTube who said I could do this, or do like just something like that. Just one person. Yeah.
That's exactly what I do. Just one single person. And I honestly, even today, because I'm an alcoholic and because I am who I am, I think my channel is bullshit. And I say that because, who wants to listen to somebody who is not drinking or who is not using or, whatever, because I in my opinion, I think if people are aiming to be self-serving with these types of medias, that they should probably look at something else, because really that's, again, in my opinion, that's not what it's for. Every single thing that I put out here is for other people, and it's because of my experiences. Like you said, you know who wants to see somebody screw their lives up to the point that they can't get it back? And
Mm-hmm.
I just think that it's admirable that you're willing to put yourself out there like that, as well as quite a few other people that I know. And there's Patreon accounts and all that other stuff, and I'm never gonna do one. And there's giveaways for whatever. I'm never gonna apply any stipulations on that. I think everything here should be for absolutely nothing, and that's just my service back to anyone out there who's struggling. And that's not a plug at all. That's just, the way I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you on that. I think it is becoming like a movement now, though, like recovery in a way. Like, I think a lot of people are realizing that, like, the drugs nowadays and stuff is just too scary to. So I think like we're gonna see like a big change, I think, with
Mm.
YouTube and stuff. Like right now, it's kind of like it's all about like drinking, and like if you look at YouTube, it's a lot of people just smoking weed all day on YouTube and stuff, and those are like the popular ones. Like if I
Yeah,
wanted to make a popular channel, I would just make one of me smoking weed all day or something. Like that's not why we do this, like to be popular, right? So it's like
yeah.
if we want, yeah, it's easy enough to do if you wanted to. So It's just eventually if this becomes something, who knows? But for now, it's not about that at all. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with me.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a
And
good time.
we can do it anytime. And I have no idea why the hell this didn't do what it did this morning, but I mean, shit. Hopefully people will be forgiving.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be fine. They'll be able to watch it after. So you'll get it next time. We'll get it
Uh,
next time.
Man, that's a bummer. But um, yeah. So if you need anything or, I can help you in any way, feel free to hit me up. You have my WhatsApp and
Mhm.
that's just not for this. You can call anytime you want to.
Okay, yeah, awesome. Same with you. Yeah, if you ever have anyone that like needs to talk about anything, or yeah, if
Yeah.
anyone comes to you like about fentanyl or something, yeah. It's kind of a whole nother monster, I guess, nowadays. Eh?
It is the monster to my knowledge.
And there's
That's
even like new ones coming out now, like since I've been on fentanyl, like those what is it, analogs or something. It's even like stronger than like what I was using. So
I
it's
say
just gonna get
damn,
worse
Daniel.
and worse.
Yeah.
The what?
I say damn, Daniel. That's some harsh stuff.
Yeah, like we never would have guessed that like people would be putting like this drug in all other drugs like for free. Like it makes no sense. Like it's
Mm,
just, why are they wasting, like I guess because it's so cheap and that like they're saving money probably putting fentanyl in, but it really makes no sense. It's
yeah, it's
seen, yeah, I
pretty
don't know.
wild.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, I'm gonna sign off and
Yeah.
I will I will get this published and put it out there for the
Okay.
world to see. I will
Awesome.
ensure that I send you a copy. You can put it up on your channel. And if
Yeah,
you
that'd be awesome. I will.
if you have a Samsung phone or something like that, I don't know.
I have an
Um,
iPhone. Yeah.
do you have screen recorder on there?
Yeah.
So if anything, if you want to do it earlier, you can always screen record um, the video when it comes in. That way you don't have to worry about trying to like download it and all that other stuff. That's totally up to you. And
Okay.
but I will ensure you get a copy of this, man. And I look forward to doing something with you again in the future.
Oh yeah, we'll be doing it again for sure. Sounds good. Thanks a
Awesome.
lot for this opportunity.
You're welcome. It was awesome to meet you.